Before we begin, this video is sponsored by Sleeve Chief. You can find good quality accessories to make your deck and gear look good. Get card protector sleeves with artworks of all your favorite archetypes and cards for the main and extra deck. There's extraordinary border sleeves, and they've got you covered with deck boxes, playmats, and dice as well. Head on over to Sleeve Chief's website through my affiliate link in the description box below and use my code SHADOW at checkout to get 5% off your entire order. Let's begin. Alright, so today we're going to do the hand trap tier list. Of course, I'm going to place wherever I feel like the hand traps should go right now. And also, in my opinion, they are really important in this format. You literally need to play as many of them as you can possibly fit in your deck. But I would love to read you guys' comments as well. And I want to hear you guys' opinions on where hand traps should be placed. And also thoughts about which deck are you running maybe so you can play as many hand traps as possible. All of that, I would happily read it in the comments. Of course, before we get started, make sure to like the video if you like it. It really helps the channel. And if you want to maybe support in another way, you're also free to check out my Patreon through the link in the description box below, where you have a ton of exclusive content, almost 20 videos. If you pledge right now, you unlock access to all of it. There's different types of stuff. You can remote duel me, have custom videos made. So if you feel like checking it out, you're free to do it. So getting into the actual video and tier list, we have 20 hand traps that I think are the most important right now, and just the usual tiers. So getting started with Magnamhut. I think Magnamhut, of course, is representative of all of the Bestios. And right now we are only looking at them as hand traps. They are really good as an engine, but that's not the point right now because the Dragon deck can play it. Of course, there's a couple Bestios in the branded deck, but right now, just looking at them as hand traps, I think they are really good side deck cards. I would put them like, I think, at the bottom of good, because I don't have a specific slot for cards that should be either side decked or main decked. But overall, I think you should side deck Bestios for that inevitable Mathmech matchup that you will probably have. And they're good against other decks as well, of course. And speaking of hand traps that are a tiny bit more specific moving forward, Ash, for example, like, I think it should be in the good category, or like, no, top of decent, probably. Top of decent. Because actually, right now that I think about it, maybe we should actually move Bestios to specific, since I already mentioned it's a very specific thing that you should probably side. But when it comes to Ash, it's going to be a tiny bit more generic, so it might actually see play in the main deck as well. But I think because it's only very impactful against Despia, it's much better to side deck this card. At least that's how I would personally do it, and maybe dedicate the main deck slots to something else. But if you're playing that type of deck, Marincess, I don't know, Sword Soul, just different types of decks like Mathmech, of course, as well, where you have a ton of space for hand traps, and there's other ones. Right now, if you're that type of deck, you're probably going to do well in the next format if you have enough space. And if you're playing all of these decks, you can just, you know, afford to dedicate some more slots to hand traps and maybe main deck them. That was a really long way of putting Ash in decent, but we will be a bit faster, you know, when it comes to the other hand traps. So moving on to Bell. Basically, I think Bell is actually quite decent as well. Might be even better than Ash. Actually, I'll put it at the bottom of good because it's really good against multiple matchups, but I would still side deck it just like Ash and only use it for those matchups. Like, it's really nice against Super Factorio, so against Mathmech. It's good against Branded and the Expulsion, Branded in red, all of those types of things. And then also against Labyrinth, for example. It's a little specific, but it's not bad. So if you want to use it for specific stuff, maybe side it, and I think that's a good thing, you know, I think that's a good idea. Then we have the C cards, and I'll just pair them together. I don't think Contact C is worth it right now. I don't really see it happening because you already play a lot of hand traps. And then when you get to that like 15 or 18 quota, you could say, that you need to have, you sort of run out of space to also play Contact C for as specific as, you know, Kashtira or Branded gets. So I don't know, I wouldn't personally run it. And then I also mentioned, yeah, we're going to talk about Retaliating C as well. So I think Retaliating C is specific because it's also, you know, only good against Purrely. It's nice against Purrely. I'm not against it. I like the fact that you completely, you know, just cut them off if they don't have a very specific, again, way of dealing with this card. Against Purrely and Runic, it's actually really good. So yeah, then we have Chaos Hunter that I don't think is worth running right now. Actually, no, I changed my mind. I'm gonna put it into specific because from what I've seen in last format, the only couple of lists that played Chaos Hunter were the lists that actually had to have a way of dealing with Dimension Shifter. So in that regard, I can, like, it makes sense to me to put it in specific. I wouldn't run it. I don't think it's worth it to put this card against Kashtira, you know, in your side deck where we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't really know if the ban list is going to hit Kashtira to the point where it's not going to be as great anymore. And yeah, to me, it's just way too specific. I wouldn't run it myself, but yeah, if you have a way of dealing with Shifter because of this card and you want to put it in your deck, then I understand and that's cool. So yeah, DD Crow is not worth it because it's literally what Bestios do, but worse. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense. However, in a couple of builds, you can see, like I said before, where you have maybe 15 to 18 hand traps in the main deck already, you might want to side other ones that are a bit more specific, because you already run as many. So yeah, it just makes sense, I guess, in those types of decks. But other than that, just generally, I am not really for DD Crow right now. I think Shifter is good, most definitely, because it's really, really strong when it comes to dealing with Purrely and also Super Heavy Samurai, which are going to be the two best decks. But Kashtira is also up there and it doesn't suffer from Shifter. It actually plays it. So like, yeah, it's very nice, but not nice against Kashtira, so you may want to side it if you can in that type of deck. Like sometimes Sprite would side it in the last formats, and that's an option if you want. But other than that, it's just really good if you're playing Kashtira and going up against different decks. So there's that. Shifter is good, but it's a little specific when it comes to which decks can actually use it. So yeah, then we have Joel. It's probably goated right now, I think, and I don't think I've put a card in goated in quite some time, or it might have been actually. I think I put Gamma in goated last time around. I'm not sure, but Droll is going to be really, really good. It's amazing when it comes to dealing with Super Heavy Samurai, and it's also nice against a bunch of different decks in the format, and it's sort of a countermeasure to some other strategies. So yeah, Droll's in the format is really, really useful, and that's just what it is, you know. And when it comes to Gamma, another card that's really, really strong right now, I think I have to put it right next to Droll. So Gamma is great right now because a lot of different decks can actually play it as well. As you can probably see by now in the format, Super Heavy Samurai can play Gamma, and it actually has like some points where it's able to use Gamma while they don't control monsters yet, because you would use a Ghost Ogre on Wakaushi or something like that, or try to draw them. And it's the perfect point in which you have to do it, but you can be hit by Gamma. So then you kind of need to weigh it out and just decide if it's worth it. And for the most part, it probably is going to be worth it, because hitting, you know, the Wakaushi with Ogre or getting a draw to go through is sort of vital to you winning that duel. So you kind of need to risk it, but Gamma is amazing. It's also helpful in that deck. It's not just dead bodies on the board. However, in some other decks, it's also extremely useful. A lot of decks right now, probably the majority of decks is running Gamma. So yeah, I think it deserves to be goated, you know? Yeah, I put this card in. I wanted to put Dogwood in mainly because of the policy change where now we have 45-minute rounds, and I just wanted to, I don't know, slap it in bruh. Maybe that's a bit rude, but I think right now, if you're not done in 45 minutes, like the extra 5 minutes is actually a lot. And I think right now you cannot go into time as easily. And I don't think it makes sense to run this card if you can, you know, dedicate those 3 or however many spots to other cards. So there's that. Impermanence. I think Impermanence is really strong. I would probably put it in good, just because not every single deck can run it. Of course, you have Super Heavy Samurai, which just cannot run it. And overall, from what I've seen when it comes to Purrely decks, and also decks in general that tend to draw during the opponent's turn, they would much rather play cards that can actually be used. And if you draw into Impermanence, it's pretty much dead. So that's why it's not goated. But overall, just Impermanence has always been a very, very strong card. So I think it's fair to put it in good. A lot of decks, of course, still run it, but it's not goated. So yeah, then we have Lancia. So Lancia was just very nice against Kashtira, which is totally understandable, but right now we don't really know what's going to happen to Kashtira. And also there's other cards that you know, can deal with that deck, that might be a bit better. So I think I'll put it into specific, maybe above Chaos Hunter, but those two are probably interchangeable. Could be like bottom of specific. Yeah. And then we have Skullmeister, which should probably go into not worth it. Could arguably go into bruh. It's just not that great right now. I don't know what you would actually use it on. I don't think there's anything that really activates in the graveyard. I don't know, like a Soul Piercer, but that's probably chain blocked anyway, so not worth it. And then we have, I guess we could talk about more effect negation together. Veiler and the Mourner. I think both of them are really strong. I'll put Veiler over here, and then Mourner... No, I'll put it higher, actually. Let me decide. No, Impermanence is still better. As a 6th card, it's really, really nice. Can be set off of Thrust and all of that. So Veiler should probably go here, and then Mourner should maybe go into Decent next to Ash. I like Mourner right now, actually. I think it's really nice because, like I said before, and I keep repeating myself, you play a ton of hand traps, so you have enough space to play Mourner as well. And also, it's just good because there's no limitation to when it can be used, just like Veiler has quite an annoying limitation, but Veiler is not a once per turn, so there's that. Then we have Nibiru. I think Nibiru is good, honestly. I think Nibiru is quite strong. But it's like one of those formats as well where Nibiru needs to be paired with another hand trap. So if you're able to hold Nibiru and pair it together with Impermanence or Veiler, even Gamma or whatever, it's going to be quite strong. But by itself, it may not be as impactful because decks put up effect negation. It's kind of not effect negation, like just hard negates. You know what I mean? Baron, basically. So yeah, the issue is that when Super Heavy Samurai puts up Baron, they are going to do it for a fact at one point in time, so you need to Nibiru, but they have many ways of playing after Nibiru, unfortunately, so it's not going to be as impactful. And then you have decks like Branded, which can actually play into Nibiru, but it might not happen every single time. Pearly is kind of the same, they can play around it. Kashtira has no issue of not playing into Nibiru if they decide to do it. What else? Like, Sprite is going to basically lock you, as you know, but I'm just thinking that maybe with the combination of Impermanence and Nibiru, it might be doable, but that's also the case for every single other deck. So again, a bit of a long way of saying that Nibiru is nice, but should be paired together, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Then we have Ogre, and I think Ogre is really strong, actually. I might put it like, should we put it top of good? I might put it a tiny bit lower. Like here, maybe? Yeah, I think that's cool. I think I'm satisfied with this. So Ogre is nice. It's kind of weird, like I said before, because when it comes to Wakaushi, you can get Gamat. When it comes to Pearly cards, they can be protected with the one that protects from card effects. It's not bad against my friend Pearly, so there's a use there. But against other matchups, it's just a bit more specific. It's not going to be as amazing, you know, against Kashtira and these types of decks. So Ogre is cool, has the potential to be incredible if there's not as many decks in the format anymore. Maybe post a ban list where Ogre is like mediocre against, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think that's pretty much where Ogre should be. And moving on to Phantasme, I don't know, I'll just put it not worth it. I don't want to disrespect it, but that's pretty much it. I see no uses for it. And Cherries is specific. Actually, you know, I've seen some people say that, I think I've had comments also on my How to Counter Pearly video, where you can actually also use Cherries against that deck. And I think that makes sense. If you really take the monster they would use, or against other decks as well, it might not be as great for them, but they can probably still play with other cards, so it's a bit more specific. You also need to play it in a deck where you don't need to have every single slot of your extra deck for yourself. You can waste them, basically. So yeah, because you probably wouldn't take away like 5 or something of your side deck slots so you can play 3 Cherries and like 2 targets. So taking all of that into consideration, it should probably go into specific. And I think that's gonna be it. Like, I think I'm satisfied with the tier list. I'm still a bit iffy when it comes to some of these cards. Should something be put a little higher? I'm not sure, but I think this lineup should probably work. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Hopefully you enjoyed. You know, I really love doing tier lists, like you know, and I like to talk to you guys about your thoughts as well, so make sure to share them in the comments down below. Like I said before, if you like the video, please make sure to like it, and yeah, check out all the other social media. Don't forget to sub. Also make sure to check out Sleeve Chief, Patreon, Card Market, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.